Personal story segment tonight, a new book called Sarah from Alaska, Doing Brisk Business. With us now are the authors, Scott Conroy and Shushannah Walshe. So let's get right to the governor's concession speech. This is what really piqued my interest, because we all know, Shushannah, that on election eve, when the McCain camp conceded, that Governor Palin did want to say a few words, but they wouldn't let her. Now, you guys got the actual written speech?
We exclusively obtained the victory speech and the concession speeches.
So they had two speeches.
Yes.
Sarah Palin did.
It was written by a McCain speechwriter, and she tweaked it, so it's definitely in her own words. And the victory speech, we think, is especially interesting because it is a whole different world with John McCain as president. And she talks about how now Todd Palin will be the second dude. And especially in both speeches, really just praise John McCain as an American hero, praise Barack Obama.
So it was a generous speech.
Absolutely.
Both in defeat and in victory. All
Absolutely.
right, now let's talk about the concession speech. She wanted to give it. And I understand it was a pretty nasty exchange between her people and McCain's people, right? It
was a bit of a showdown. She was told by several senior staffers that she wasn't going to speak, but the decision was made by John McCain.
He made it himself.
Well, John McCain's senior advisors decided that they didn't think that it was a good idea for her to speak, so they went to John McCain and they asked him, and he agreed. So it definitely was his decision to not have her speak.
Okay, but Scott, that's precedent. You usually don't have a vice presidential candidate giving a concession speech.
Right, that's true, but although John Edwards did give one in 2004.
Did he? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. Was there particular tension in the campaign between the Palin people and the McCain people?
There was, and as you know, that's normal for presidential campaigns, but in this one, it was more than usual. We obtained emails that were exchanged between some of the senior staffers and Palin about her wanting to campaign in Michigan and them saying, no, you can't do it.
Yeah, that was big because the McCain people bailed out of Michigan, and Palin thought they could still win Michigan.
Yeah, and she didn't want to give up there. She knew that those were the kinds of people that she could win over, the salt of the earth people. But the McCain staffers thought that it was out of play. She kept pressing them. She said, I'll pay for the gas if you'll let me go.
Okay, but how bad was it? Was it just in the realm of rivalry between a president and vice presidential candidate, or was it more personal?
I think it was more personal. You know, you really see in these emails that there was a lot of vitriol between the two sides.
And what drove that, Shushannah?
Well, she really felt that she should follow her own instincts. At the beginning of the campaign, you'll remember she wasn't allowed to come back and talk to the press. And she really wanted to. She knew that if she put her personal touch with the press corps traveling, that she'd be able to win them over, as she did in Alaska. She was not allowed to. Mm-hmm. So that's when she realized I should really be following my own instincts. They didn't like that. They
wanted her to go with the program that they had designed, the McCain people. But that's what her book is about, going rogue.
Right.
Is that she wanted to go her own way and they wanted to keep her down. Okay, now let's look ahead. From what you've learned about Governor Palin, and she is going to appear on a Factor, which is going to be very interesting, 2 weeks. The governor will be here for a three-parter. We're going to do 3 separate nights. From what you learned on her, Scott, can she make enough of an impact with this book to put herself up as a presidential contender?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we get asked all the time, do we think she wants to run for president?
Well, I think she does.
Yeah, we completely agree. And the reason why we think that primarily is right after this campaign was over, she was asked, do you want to run in 2012? And most people would think she'd be coy, but she said, if there are any open doors, I'll crash right through them.
Okay, but the question is, Shushannah, does she have enough media savvy with all she's learned from Couric and from ABC News and all of that to now turn perceptions of her around? Because the polls say that most people don't feel that she's qualified to be president. Does she have it?
Well, it's definitely going to be an uphill climb because those Kitty Couric interviews, they're going to live on YouTube forever.
Forever, right.
And even her resignation, her primary opponents, they're going to bring that up. So
but she's doing so much media now with Oprah, The Factor, big media. Everybody's going to see her. If she comes across well, that obliterates, does it not?
It could, and it doesn't matter to her thousands and thousands of fans. They love her no matter what. I mean, they're very, very loyal.
But your book, Scott, is generous to the governor. It's not a slam book at all.
We try to be as fair as we possibly can.
And you came to the conclusion that, what was your final conclusion about the governor?
Well, she is someone that is always underestimated. Throughout her whole career, she's always been underestimated. And so for people to write her off is really a big mistake.
And how about you, Shushannah? What conclusion did you come to?
Well, we really wanted to turn, as you know, during the campaign, she was the media wanted, well, she was perceived as either an idiot or she was loathed, and we really want to make her into a three-dimensional character, and we really think we succeeded.
Because she
in that.
did a good job in Alaska.
Absolutely.
She did a lot of good things.
First year and a half in office.
Right. That's what I always looked at when I said, okay, you know, you can say Katie Couric this, but she ran the state and she ran it well.
And she stood up to those oil companies that had never been done before. I mean, you have to remember that.
All right, the book is Sarah from Alaska. Thanks for coming in.